How's everyone doing today? This is Chris Grove back at you with another film review / commentary on the 1982 film Deadly Eyes. Deadly Eyes is a film about a bunch of giant rats that take over Toronto. Yes, that's the plot. And why is it not Oscar worthy? Well, I don't know. It's got a lot of highlights to it. Along with a lot of quirks. Let's get into the cast and crew here, and then we'll go more deeply into it. It's directed by Robert Clouse, who normally directs Bruce Lee films. That kind of thing was his forte. The stars Sam Groom as Paul Harris, Sarah Botsford as Kelly Leonard, Scatman Crothers, yes, from The Shining, wearing the same clothes actually, as George Foskins, Lisa Langlois as Trudy White, Leslie Donaldson as Martha, and Sek Linder, who apparently is a well-known Canadian actor, Dr. Spencer. And yes, this is a Canadian film. Supposedly, there's like an American flag at the beginning, but it's Toronto. So it's all filmed in Toronto. The movie starts out with a group of health inspectors finding some guy for having some steroid grain on the docks. Apparently the rats have gotten into this thing, and now they're the size of, dachshunds in rat costumes. And they're actually played by dachshunds in rat costumes for the overhead shots. And for the up-close personal shots of their faces gnawing on human flesh in all its glory, they're played by Jim Henson mutant rat puppets. So, awesome! What makes the film so adorable is just that. Its creative touch, and it is very, very creative. To use a bunch of dachshunds in rat costumes for the overhead shots takes an insane amount of originality. And for 1982, it really works, and the overhead shots are pretty effective. The Jim Henson mutant puppet deals don't really come across as that effective. When I was 10 and first saw this movie, yeah. And even as an adult, they're very creepy. But and this is probably one of the things that sort of gave me my rat phobia back in the day, is probably thinking that, hey, they're just like this. And no, they're not. But it works. And the film it works on a level that is visceral and unique, and also has a sense of wintertime urban grittiness to it that you don't see in films today. But in the late 70s, early 80s, you saw it all around. It also has a hell of a lot of character development. Sam Groom plays a history teacher, high school history teacher and basketball coach. And he ends up dating health inspector played by Sarah Botsford. Kelly Leonard is the character's name. And it's nice. It's like a rom-com with a bunch of giant rats running around, attacking people. But in between that, you get this sort of, When Harry Met Sally story going on. And it's unique for now and for then to be, have that included in a movie like this. So it's kind of endearing. Also, the set designer, or I think assistant photographer, met his wife on set there, and they're still together today. So they have this wonderful giant rat film to, consummate their marriage on. Anyway, the book that it's based on is way dark and way political too. It gets into The book was written by forgive me here, James Herbert, who wrote The Rats in 1974, and which is about a bunch of giant rats attacking London, not Toronto. And the problem starts in the East End, which is the bad end, and the well-to-dos in the West End and whatever don't really care. They're just like, that's their problem. Similar to, politics today sometimes. You have the elites just kind of going, whatever, suck it up. And the origin story is a little different. Instead of getting into some steroid grain and turning into the Hulk, this is like a lab experiment gone awry. There's this mad scientist who brings back these giant rats from New Guinea and breeds them with some regular old London rats, and then they just, tear up the town, basically. And because it's a book and it's a novel, the attack scenes are way more creepy and visceral, and it really depicts what it's like to be eaten alive by a bunch of giant rats in all its wonderful glory. So, if you really want your skin to crawl, check out the book. If you want a fun popcorn flick, check out the movie. Siskel and Ebert actually kind of like this one. Ebert basically said it's like a fun creature feature film from like the 50s, like them, and early animal attack movies, or nature run amok movies, as we like to call them. And it holds up to today. I mean, it definitely has, the 1982 fashion going on. But it's got a realness to it, and a natural way for the actors to carry themselves. The storyboards are pretty natural too. I mean, the whole story just seems very organic. Scatman Crothers plays a health inspector as well, and spoiler alert, he gets killed wearing the same clothes that he got killed by Jack Nicholson in The Shining. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen The Shining, he gets killed in that one too. So probably should have been a spoiler alert before that whole thing. But hey, The Shining came out 2 years prior. This came out 2 years later. So these are older films. Which kind of begs the question, what's the worst way to die? Getting axed in the chest by Jack Nicholson? Or being eaten alive by a bunch of giant rats? You be the judge of that. Anyway, for Chris Grove Film Reviews, check out Deadly Eyes from 1982. Enjoy.